there. Today we're going to be doing a video on a road that has a really big significance on my life, which is called Old Cutler Road, which runs through southwest Miami. It links Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, and Cutler Bay with a main thoroughfare that connects the suburbs of Miami, which would be South Miami, into the urban metropolis that is Coconut Grove. Now, the area was founded by a gentleman named Fuzzard, and he had set up some land over there for farming. And he was visited by a doctor from Massachusetts who happens to be Mr. Cutler, and he encouraged Fuzzard to settle there and make a community. And as a result, he expanded that community with a main road called Old Cutler Road. Now, at the time, this was in the 1880s, and it was linking those suburbs into this metropolis. And what it would do is that it would follow the natural path of the area. So when you're driving through these lush tropical area where you see these massive trees. And that comes to the next point, is that this area is a very resilient area because it has all these lush tropical trees. And with those deep roots, it is exceptional when it comes to flooding. And one of the major things about living in Miami and South Florida is that we have a lot of rain. And even if we're not having a hurricane, we do have tropical storms that can sometimes give us, up to 12 inches of rain. So what this area does is that it creates this microclimate where you have this very thick vegetation. And what this does is that it makes this area very resilient. Sadly, there are many areas and suburbs within the Miami area that sort of do not engage with us in this natural habitat, this very lushness. There's too much paving, there's multi-highway roads, and this can be very problematic here. Areas that have lots of pervious surface, they tend to flood more. And that's probably one of the tragedies of some of the zoning when you go to areas like Alapata, for example. It's a suburb, but it's also sort of not very suburban. It borders a very urban, industrialized areas. You have some residences, but it doesn't have that pure sense of biophilia or that rich vegetation. So what the Old Cutler Road area does is that it really distinguishes suburbia in a very powerful manner by giving this very intensified feeling of nature where it's first of all, it's a one-lane road. You drive through these thick forests, and it is quite engaging. One of the key features of Old Cutler Road was that when the Deering estate was built, which was by John Deering, he wanted to give back this area to the public, and he also made a dock by the Deering estate. And this point of entry is also another biophilic corridor where you really engage with the ocean and you see all the thick vegetation and the mangroves. So you experience these forms of nature in a very powerful manner. And if you go further south towards Cutler Bay, you can come into Black Point Park. And this park is very remarkable in that it is just pure vegetation. You see the mangroves lining the actual area. You see this pure sense of nature. And a lot of people complain about Miami is that it doesn't have real nature. It's just too urbanized, or it's sort of this awkward suburbanization like areas like Alapata, for example. But with this road, you really capture that sense of nature. And one of the themes within driving through Old Cutler Road is that it is bordering the Biscayne Bay, which is full of limestone. And one technique that they did that was quite striking about designing Old Cutler Road is they lined these walls with limestone. It gives illusion and reference to what this road is really bearing next to. So you see this element throughout the Old Cutler Road, and then when you get into Coconut Grove, you see this element again extended. So it's essentially the idea of the Old Cutler Road is this continuous pathway. It's this pathway that leads you into this urban paradise. And when you come to Coconut Grove, you can see that it is really nature, really integrated well with this urbanism. It's exactly what Frank Lloyd Wright would have wanted in terms of urbanism. His views of urbanism were always rooted in having biophilia enter into the scheme. However, his schemes look too much like suburbia. It doesn't really look like high density, but something like Coconut Grove really achieves what somebody like Frank Lloyd Wright would have envisioned urbanism to be, because the sense of urbanism is integrated so well with nature, and it becomes a very engaging place. So as you go through Coconut Grove, you come through these high-rise buildings, you see these beautiful dynamic designs, and you're guided through this vegetation. And when you're walking through Old Cutler Road or driving through Old Cutler Road and getting into Coconut Grove, you also have the bay. The water is there. So this idea of nature permeating into this urban oasis is what Old Cutler Road does. It's sort of it leads you into this magical land. And some place like Miami is always having this cosmology of this escape paradise, this place that you go and it's magical. So essentially Old Cutler Road does this. It is this sort of magical road where you're going through the series of nature, and as you move through it, it gets stimulating as you move through it, and with that, it ultimately leads you into this urban paradise that what we call as Old Coconut Grove. So Old Cutler Road is quite a remarkable road. It's very engaging to drive in. The concept of it was really developed by almost this Massachusetts aesthetics, where in Massachusetts and New England, we really like to distinguish what is nature and what is urbanism. And in many of these Massachusetts towns, it very much has this idea of leading through nature and cutting through nature. And what Old Cutler does is quite remarkable. And as somebody who uses it to commute for work or weekends, I can attest that it has been truly a very engaging drive whenever I'm on it. Thank you.